Hey everybody, in this episode of Box Office Breakdown, Proud Mary was not very proud of the box office. We'll talk all about that more and more. We'll talk about that and more next.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk, we talk movies. And now, here's Popcorn Talk's Box Office Breakdown.
Hey everybody, look at that. A nice little bumpy opening. The Box Office Breakdown. What would it be without a little hiccup there?
Right?
Hey everybody, welcome to Box Office Breakdown. This, of course, is the show where we look back at the box office that was, and then we like to
prognosticate and more and more and more and more.
More.
about the box office that lie ahead. I'm on your host. More. Frank Moran. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at HappyGoJackie.
I'm sorry. How's it going, everybody? My name is Kari Lane. You can find me online at Kari D Lane. That's KARIDLANE. It's just that kind of a night.
And more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
Hi everyone, I'm Amy Cassandra Martinez, and I don't know if I told you this, Anthony, for this one, but I changed my, this is so confusing to you guys, but it'll make sense. My handle
I got it.
is now changed one more time because I want to make it confusing for you guys. But yes, it is Amy Cassandra MTZ, which is an abbreviation for Martinez. But that's across all social media.
Oh, so you made it all the same.
That's for everything.
All the same.
That's good.
Yes. Yeah.
That makes it so much easier.
Yeah.
You know, I was just thinking about you guys and making sure that everything was
Make it
just
easy to
easier.
find.
She's so thoughtful.
But
Yeah.
also, folks, if you want to start chiming away what your thoughts are about what Amy's handle will be next week.
No.
It's going to be a thing now, guys. I don't know. I might change it.
No, I'm good. I got
Next week's handle, here's your host, Amy.
Well, actually, we should say that real quick. Amy and I will not be here next week. I'm going to be at Sundance.
I will be at the SAG Awards behind the scenes.
Nice.
Oh.
But you know what? Neil and I will be right here for you because we love
Yay! It's a
Yay.
boys' night.
It's true.
And now, Neil.
If you
would
want to
like
find me at places where you find people, you can find me at the Neil Plumley, which is TheNeilPlumley. And if you want more and more and more, you can tweet at me and I reply.
This is true.
That's all I got.
And of course, folks, you can like us on Facebook, but there's more and more and more.
Wait, you
can also
guys
give us
can lean
those
over and do your
5
thumbs.
stars on
That's more, the
iTunes.
more.
Subscribe to
I
the
wish I
YouTube
had
channel,
more
and then if you're there, throw a thumb up there, and more, and more, and more, and more.
And there's more.
And there's always more. There's always more. Of course. Yes, you can comment down below. Where's that? Where's that, Karen?
Right down there.
Right there.
We see Neil's hand a little bit. And
There you
then we have a live chat going, so if you're watching this live. So started, it's just the opening started off with no real inside joke. That just kind of started, and then we just kind of kept going.
That's
We
true.
just kept
But hey,
going
let's give a
more.
shout out
Anyway.
to Jonathan Peck. He is back.
Welcome back.
Pleasure to see you,
Yay.
Jonathan.
Oh, yay. Thank you.
You know who's going to rest easy tonight is Neil, because the last couple episodes he would bring up to us after the fact, like, I didn't see Jonathan in the chat.
It's true.
So,
I will sleep easy tonight,
There you go.
for Jonathan has returned to view us.
So let's jump right into it. Let's talk about the box office that was this past weekend.
I'm excited.
Me too.
Number 1, Jumanji.
Woo!
Welcome to the
Yay.
jungle.
Wow, I had the pleasure of viewing this movie.
Yeah, was that
This
your
past
movie
month.
pass?
That was my first. That was my movie pass. That was my
Yay!
first movie pass
Wow.
movie. It felt good. It was cool.
You never
Good.
forget your
Not
first.
sponsored by Movie Pass, but please sponsor us, Movie Pass.
Oh my gosh, right?
It was kind of like what you guys were saying. It was kind of fun. Jack Black was, I think, definitely the best character. I would actually rank them in this order: Jack Black, Karen Gillan, Jonas Brother,
He was really good.
Dwayne the Rock, and
All right.
Mr. Hart at the bottom there. He played Kevin Hart in that movie. He did not play a football player in high school.
Yeah.
That's the distinction I'll make. And that the scale goes to relatively how well they played their high school counterpart.
Yeah, for sure.
I think Jack Black nailed it. I thought Karen Gillan was also really good, especially because, and this is the thing I pointed out to some people I was speaking to about it. She sort of, even when it wasn't her scene directly, but she was sort of in the background. She plays a shy girl, but she's wearing like this tube basically, and so she's sort of like just standing like with her arms over her stomach, or like sort of like standing next to a tree and trying to hide herself. And I was like, yeah, that's not even like your scene, but you're just in the background being the perfect character. So I was like, choice work
Nice.
right there.
choice.
Choice work. Primo stuff. It's a lot of fun. I'm not sure if I'd spend a premium ticket price on it. Maybe a matinee. I'm glad I have MoviePass, so I was able to enjoy it freely. Not sponsored by MoviePass. Please sponsor us, MoviePass. And
Would you want to see another movie in this franchise?
yeah, probably. Sure. I'd actually be okay with that.
Well, would they be the same characters?
It could be, or
Because
is
if
it,
it's the
or
same
it's
game,
somebody
would
else.
it be the same same avatars? Because that could be more interesting too. Is if we have completely different people playing those avatars, so those same actors have to do something totally different. That could be really cool.
It'd actually be cool if they're like if their kids get stuck in the game.
Oh.
And they grow up and the kids get stuck in it. And
Yeah.
Okay, we need to go back in. and what's the football player? This would be after that, of course, but they'd be like, no, there's no way I'm going to be Moose Finbar this time. And he'd pick someone else. So then The Rock has to act like him or,
that would be
whatever.
funny, yeah.
That, come to think of it, now that we're saying it out loud, it sounds like a better SNL sketch
Well,
than
no,
a movie.
looks like Yahya Akbani says, yeah, same avatars, different kids. So he agrees. But it could be interesting to be them of
Yeah.
a different connection for sure.
Yeah.
A Straightforward Edge says, I wish there was MoviePass in the Midwest. I don't know all theaters that accept it, but you can look and see which theaters accept MoviePass in your area too.
David, like a zip code tool.
Yeah. So you can double check to see if there's something, because I was visiting my mom and I'm like, I'm gonna use MoviePass. She didn't think it'd work in small town and it was fine.
Oh, look at that.
Dope.
Coming to number 2, The Post from Fox.
This one's
They're
hot.
$18.6 million.
Really did not expect that at number 2, mostly because I didn't really see the theater jump coming for The Post. It was at like a couple hundred, and then it jumped up to like a few thousand, or a couple thousand. And so it's week to week went up by like 700% or something like that.
Yeah, it was plus 995.4%.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Wait,
So,
did that
yeah.
go then
They-
from limited to wide release?
Yeah, because they added just a
Yeah.
mere 2783 in terms of screens.
You know.
Just
Added.
that.
That's that thing, guys.
That's huge. That's a lot. So they're
Yeah.
definitely riding that hype.
Yes.
Smart move. Made a lot of money.
You guys haven't seen it?
I've seen it. I enjoyed
You've
it.
seen Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Thanks for remembering our conversation.
I'm sorry. It meant so much to me.
I can tell.
I might see it tomorrow. I have some time.
Do it.
Carrie?
I did not. I was doing tons of laundry for prepping for Sundance. Random question in the chat. Jody says, when does Call Me By Your Name go wide? My local theater that's in Edwards has it screening, so I would check some of your theaters to see if maybe it's tacked on with a couple shows instead of just small theaters. And I will look, and you could look it up online possibly. There might be a thing there, but
No.
I didn't want to share that because I looked when I was looking at my movie theater. I liked that it had like The Post, it had Jumanji, and then it had a couple screening of small stuff.
I like the idea that we've become a personal movie phone for people. They could just come here.
Sure.
Is this movie a wide release? We
Yeah.
will then type it in here.
We'll
Let us
check
find
it
out right here as we
yeah,
talk.
Okay, whatever.
I'm trying to check.
Coming in number 3, we've got a new film, The Commuter, Liam Neeson's latest action film from Lionsgate, $13.4 million. Did not see that. Anyone go check out
I
The Commuter?
didn't. I have a friend who saw it, and I failed to ask her how she enjoyed it.
Well, she didn't chime in right away that it was horrible, so I'm guessing that's
It might
a
be
good
okay.
sign.
Hey!
It might be okay.
But I saw it and I hated it. It wasn't.
Yeah,
That
I'm
was-
sort of sitting on a zero interest policy of going to see this movie.
Really?
Yeah.
Why? Why zero interest?
I don't know.
Transport. It's.
It's sort of like taking on a train.
Yeah, there we go.
I
I'll
guess.
take him.
It looks so basic. Why would you even want to waste your time with this movie? Are you
Because
kidding me?
Liam Neeson.
So?
Yeah.
If not, he'll
like
come
he
and
hasn't
take
done
you.
trash before.
That's great, but he does trash well.
He does not as
I'm
well as Nicolas
mildly
Cage.
curious, but there's
Yeah.
more stuff I want to
But
see
well.
that I'd see first.
Yes.
Like I tried to go to the movies today. It just didn't happen.
I feel you.
It's fair.
Did you? So you saw all 3 Takens, Neil?
I saw
Ooh.
2 Takens.
You did
I
skip
was
on the
taken
third?
I
to
think I've
Taken
only seen
2
two.
on my birthday like 5 years ago,
Oh.
and I was like, oh, this movie was not good.
The second one.
Yeah.
So you didn't see the third one. Third one's like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
But,
But the first one's really good.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
I
some
still really
excellent
like that
one.
movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I feel like I want to check this out. I was thinking about doing a Proud Mary Commuter double feature, and I was like, I bet you it's not going to go that well for Proud Mary, so I opted not to. It's like I'm going to take the chance that I'm not going to have to see this movie.
Now I did actually see Proud Mary today. It's not on your top 5, but
No, it did not make the top 5.
No.
Nope, came a bit lower than the top 5.
It did.
We'll get into that in a moment in the subject of our box office bet. But number 4, Insidious: The Last Key from Universal, $12.1 million.
Well, yay for a horror movie in the top 5.
Yay.
That's my yay. Go check out horror movie news tomorrow and we'll talk about it. Or no, sorry, Tuesday. Keep thinking, my week's all weird. Anyway.
And then rounding out the top 5, we've got The Greatest Showman from Fox, another $11.8 million. I know they're doing sing-along screenings.
One of our
cool.
hosts here went to that.
I don't know if
Or
I'd want to
she
go.
went to one already, so.
Would you want to go to a sing-along screening where you just get, I don't know if I'd want to.
I would find that more enjoyable.
Would you?
definitely more
just-
enjoyable than
yeah.
a sing-along like Les Mis or something.
Would you be singing, or would you just be appreciating you'd be getting the atmosphere of other people singing?
I'd be mouthing it
Really?
because I don't think I'd be singing on key, and I wouldn't want to ruin it
But
for
if
anyone around me.
everyone's singing, you don't really know.
They might not. It'd be sort of like a let's see how it's going sort of thing. I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want to step into a commitment of like yes, I'll sing. So I will say no.
I would totally do it.
Minister Mogul says, why sing along? Because it's an awesome movie with awesome songs, so you want to sing along.
The songs are really the selling point.
The
of whole
second
movie.
time I saw it, I almost wanted to sing along in the theater. And I'm
should've.
like, no.
Why
This was
not?
their
It's
first
really
time.
loud. If it's really loud in the movie theater,
Then I'll
you just
mouth it. Yeah.
It,
I'll
Go
just
big or
lip
go
sync.
home.
very enjoyable songs. That's as far as I'll go with
Yeah.
this movie.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder if they would do it like old school and have the lyrics.
That's yeah.
What would be the bouncing ball? Would it be like a little top hat?
Yes, that'd be great.
That reminds me of my
Okay.
childhood.
All
That's
right.
beautiful.
Well, Proud Mary Ken Jack in the chat says it was okay. Thought it had a lot of potential, but it was pretty standard action film. Okay.
Well, let's dive right into that because it did not make it. I believe it came in at number 9, I think, this week.
Yeah.
Yeah, with $10 million right on the button. And I know 2 people here had both $10 million.
You can applaud if you want. We'll wait. Silence.
I know I came in with 9, so I don't feel bad.
I went too high.
Yeah, but it
I
wasn't
really
10,
high.
so.
It wasn't 10, but I know I don't have to see it. And that's all I'm having. I will take that as a win. But Neil, you did see it.
I did.
And?
I thought it was. I was talking to Amy about this before the show started, and I thought it was pretty good. I definitely see what you're saying there in the chat. It definitely had a lot of potential. Some of the things were sort of squandered in it. It was a tad basic, but it was a lot of, if not, parts of it were just a lot of fun.
Okay.
There was a really big like car-based shootout near the end of the movie with Taraji P. Henson just gunning down a bunch of people and using her car to like turn and whack people and stuff like that. Almost sort of like it kind of almost felt like a John Wick sort of thing.
Okay.
Where like the car definitely isn't bulletproof. They're getting hits on the car, tires are popping, like she's losing mobility, but she's still able to like work it. And that scene was really cool. Another really cool part of it is that she was not bulletproof. Kind of like John Wick also, where if she got hit by a bullet, she probably should have gotten hit by a couple more bullets, if we're being honest. But she did get hit by a few, and that was cool because then she had to, play to it. She had to be like, oh, this arm doesn't work anymore, so now I have to use this. Her chemistry with the little boy in the movie was phenomenal. That was probably one of the best parts of the movie, and it really, my wife Alexis, who really enjoyed it, she said that that really brought in sort of like a dose of like black culture into the movie. Most of the movie sort of pans out like a mob hitman sort of a structure, where she does something to protect someone, then the mob's like, oh, we gotta take her down or whatever. So it sort of works out like that. But just her with the kid was a really original, really original on-screen chemistry that we haven't seen a lot of, which is really cool. And it was him like mouthing off and her being like, hey, watch that mouth or I'm gonna smack you, stuff like that. And it was just like, they just had like this little banter that they played around with, which was a lot of fun to watch. I will say though, the thing that failed this movie was the edit, and that was really poor. Whoever edited this movie, I feel like they may have just taken the cheap route and they just didn't pay an experienced editor, or I don't know. I haven't really looked into it. I'd like to though, because I want to know who this person is who cut it together. It just was not good. The cut. There was a lot of shots of her driving a car, like to park, like all the time. And it's like at her apartment, it showed her car like come down an alleyway and park at her apartment. couple scenes later, it was coming down the alleyway from a different angle and parking in her apartment. So the whole time when I was seeing those shots, I kept thinking, this must have just been B-roll day where they're like, let's get the Maserati. She drove a Maserati. It was probably sponsored by Maserati. Let's get the Maserati just driving and parking in this apartment from a lot of different angles and include it in the movie as much as we can. And that sort of really pulled me out of the film.
Oh.
Well, the editor was Evan Schiff. He's done Revolt from back in 2017, John Wick Chapter 2. Let's see. Anything else there? Peep World in 2010, guys. We all remember that. Nothing else really huge.
Wait.
And he was an animatic editor
editorial.
in 2017, but as well as Star Trek Into Darkness.
Assistant editor for
Yeah.
that.
As well as associate editor for Mission
I
Impossible
like
Ghost
John
Protocol.
Wick 2, though. That was really good. Do you remember the editing being a little weird?
I remember it. I remember it not. I remember the movie in general not being quite as good as the first one. But I'll say this too. There's
Hey, everybody, we're back. We had a little power outage right there. But yeah, Neil is alive and well, and he's going to continue with the thought that he was focusing on when the power went down.
Right.
It was
So-
touching to go there for a moment. What I was going to say is the thing that an example of a bad edit in this movie was she rolls up in her car and you see someone approaching the window. You see from their mid chest down, and so she rolls her window down, and it's supposed to be a shot reverse on
Yeah.
that. And it goes to someone going in to lean into the window, and you see about until their top lip, until it cuts into a reaction shot of her, and then a cut back to the person already landed in the window. So no reveal for the audience, a reveal for Taraji P. Henson.
It's jump cuts. They're being artistic.
It was, oh my God! I was like, okay, that's a keynote right there. But like I said, it was just the edit really let it down in the end. I would say the writing probably let it down a little bit also, but that's kind of to be expected in some movies like this where they sort of put action and star power above an original story structure, which is fine. So I'll say if I was going to change anything about it, it'd be the editor for the movie. The action was good, and like I said, the chemistry between her and the kid was excellent.
How do you handle something? Because I know some people on social media are posting like, hey, I saw the movie and want to support Taraji P. Henson. But how do you handle supporting? You want to support an actor, yet the project is not that strong. And how do you recommend that film? Can you do that?
I would say I would sort of take a leaf out of Patty Jenkins's book, where when Wonder Woman was coming out, and everyone's sort of compared it like, oh, if it's not the best movie ever, are women going to be able to direct movies? It's a ridiculous notion. But she basically said women directors should be allowed the opportunity to make shitty movies, just like every other shitty movie that was directed by a man. It shouldn't be if you're going to be a woman director, you have to do really well. No, you're allowed to make dumb movies. You're allowed to make bad movies. Of course you are. It's the standard that they hold a lot of male production teams to, and it shouldn't be compromised. So in this case, I'll say, yeah, go see Proud Mary. Taraji P. Henson's great in it. She shoots a lot of people, which is really cool. So if you want to go see it for that, go see it for that. And if it's not that great, that's okay too. I mean, you don't have to, even if you're a big fan, or if you're really pushing for more projects with people of color in it, which is fantastic. I mean, I am too. But even if you're pushing for more projects like that, you should be able to, not like the movie.
Well, then you do the other way of you could say, really like this, and then the editing was so-so. That's where you could express your opinion without being oh, it's horrible and I hated the movie. You could say what you liked and then be and then this was meh, if you want to
Sure.
let people
Yeah.
know.
All right.
Yeah.
So, so the long and the short of it, though, is that Kari Lane will have to go see this film.
I will.
That's the biggest takeaway that we can take away from this
I
discussion.
literally was looking at the times today, but no joke. I was doing laundry all day.
So that
I
was
covered my entire. Yeah, I
That
have
was
too
the
much laundry.
Oh, well, heading to Sundance, you got to be able to have lots of clothes.
Well, I do. I'm like,
There's
what do I
no-
even have?
It's a social
Yeah.
event of
Yep.
yeah. You got to be able to party but stay warm. Party, stay warm.
Yeah.
So that was our top 5, but of course, as we mentioned, Proud Mary was the subject of our box office bet. We will have another one of these at the end of the episode where you, the people in the chat room, get to decide which film that we'll be betting on and possibly having to see. And we've got two choices here for you. We've got 12 Strong, the new Chris Hemsworth film, based on a true story, and then Den of Thieves, the Gerard Butler film there. So we've got those two vying for your box office vote. So feel free to start chiming away in the chat while we continue to break things down. One thing I wanted to bring up, especially with Neil, because I know
Sure.
Neil loves talking about like past box office figures and whatnot. So we got The Force Awakens came in at number 6 this week here.
You mean The Last Jedi?
Excuse me. The Last Jedi. So it comes in at number 6 this week, and there we go. And so it made 11.2 this past weekend for a total right now in its 5th week, 591.5 million. So that we got. I was just looking at The Force Awakens in its 5th week and what it did here. If we're comparing apples and oranges, I guess, but it made. It made 26.3 million its 5th week, and at that point it was $852.2 million. So, do we look at anything for that, Neil? Do you look at it like, because I feel like mixed reviews on Force Awakens felt like it was too much of a retread, but there was a lot of anticipation for a new continuation of the Star Wars mythos. This one seemed to have at least more critical reviews. I know praise, but I know kind of split votes between the audiences. And I feel like it did seem like people were thinking like, well, the complexity of this story would kind of demand or reward repeated viewings. But it doesn't feel like in terms of box office, it's tracking as quickly or as good as Force Awakens does. Do you see anything to that? Or no?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there, Frank. I think everyone was really looking forward to with The Force Awakens when it first came out 2 years ago. People were really, really wanting to see another Star Wars movie, especially with all their favorite stars in it and everything, to be back where like they were, what was it, 30 years
It's a
before?
nostalgia high.
Yeah, it is. It's like the biggest nostalgia high that we've probably seen. So I think that led to sort of an unfair sort of influx domestically and probably also internationally for that movie, sort of inflating it above what it probably would have normally gotten if it had been released like right after, if episode 6 came out just a few years before and then we got episode 7. So that's the difference that I would make, because we just had episode 7, and now we got episode 8. So it's still a lot of people that went and saw it, that went to see it, but it's not quite as many, and it's not really quite as it doesn't have the long legs that The Force Awakens had, and that might also be due in part to people being very perplexed by it on social media, and people saying, "Don't go see it; it's terrible; it ruins Star Wars." There's a lot of very strong opinions out there for the negative.
There was.
There's a lot of strong opinions for the positive out there as well, but I wouldn't say quite as much. I'd say most of social media is just sort of obsessed with the negative reviews of The Last Jedi. So that might have something to do with it, but I think mostly it's just the Force Awakens being so like needed to be seen by everybody.
All right. Do you feel like we're entering a part of diminishing returns in terms of the Star Wars franchise? What if Episode 9 does even kind of a slower pace than this?
If it does, then Disney better hope that Rian Johnson can deliver with his sort of offset trilogy. And if anything, if that is what's happening, and it's sort of a diminishing return, like you said, for these movies, then that would be a good direction for Disney to go in, and they're probably pretty happy that they're having Rian do sort of an offshoot, so people have something they haven't seen before, something that's not necessarily at all about Jedi or Sith or the Skywalkers, and if it's anything like, we saw like a little bit of taste of that in Dave Filoni's work with both the Clone Wars series on Cartoon Network and with Rebels on Disney XD, where he has he shows us it's mostly about the Jedi and stuff like that, but he shows us like other parts of the universe, which is fantastic. And I think that's what people are going to want to see in the future.
because I compare this to, I don't know how you folks think, like the Fast and Furious franchise. I mean, that's going into.
I've seen all of them.
Yeah, you've seen all, seen all those. But
I liked all of them.
8 movies in, working on 9.
I don't.
But I mean, that's a franchise that is, is still pretty strong. I mean, and even though I think people forget about it, weeks or even months after it's out. But when it does come around, when the next one does come around, people get really jazzed to go see it.
Yeah. Not so much domestically anymore, but overseas, it's a juggernaut.
Yes.
That's, what is it, the biggest international opening weekend of all time is still Fate of the Furious. Isn't that right? It's not a Star Wars movie. It's Fate of the Furious because it made so much money that first weekend overseas.
All right. Well, that was just my little side tangent there.
Something to munch on.
There you go.
Yeah.
I just wanted to hear Neil's thoughts about this special topic there. But folks, as I mentioned, we've got 2 films in contention for next week. One is 12 Strong, one is Den of Thieves. We always like to do a little box office rewind over one of the actors in one of these upcoming films. For this, that's right, as Anthony chimes away, Gerard Butler would be the subject of this week's box office rewind. Everybody big fans of Gerard Butler?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's all right.
I'm not like, oh my gosh, I love his movies, but I like him.
Is he enough of a draw that if you say,
Yeah.
all right, I'm going to go see this because Gerard Butler's in
I
it.
didn't see the last one, though.
Geostorm.
I did not care.
I saw Geostorm. You're welcome.
I did not see Geostorm.
No.
I went to the carpet. I did that carpet.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I liked Law Abiding Citizen, though.
Wait,
know-
is it-
I
is it
know-
on Katherine
Generally
Heigl?
like his stuff.
Or wait, no.
What? No, that's with, it's
Jeff-
where he murders a bunch of people.
Oh, okay.
It's with Jamie Foxx, set in Philadelphia.
Born and raised?
Yeah, playground. That's where he spends most of his days.
Gotcha. I'm trying to remember the lines. I can't.
Shooting up b-ball and acting all cool. And
Yes.
then a couple
There you go.
That's
Yes.
Good. Starting to make it
I'm
good
proud of
in the
everyone.
neighborhood.
There you go.
You're all doing very well.
Well, two out of his immediate top 5 were for How to Train Your Dragon. So I'm going to take away the animated films out of there. So
Sure.
we're going to do Gerard Butler's top 5 live action. And coming in at number 5 is London Has Fallen from Focus Features. $21.6 million from 2016. I did not see the sequel to this.
I didn't
did
see
not-
the sequel.
Care.
I saw the first one.
Which one did you like? Because there was
Olympus.
Olympus Has Fallen,
I
and
liked
then
Olympus.
the Jamie
Ooh.
Foxx one. It was.
You know what though? I didn't love Olympus Has Fallen.
Fallen?
No, there's another.
It's the Jamie Foxx, Channing Tatum one too. That's the kind of almost like the
Right.
Deep Impact Armageddon
Yeah.
kind of deal with those
Illusionist
Was
prestige
it
sort of
White House
thing.
Down? No.
White House.
Yeah,
no.
White House Down.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
Yeah,
They're making a third one to that whole series too. The whole Fallen series.
yeah, the first one. The problem is like I forget. I just know when I watched
Exactly.
it, I had.
that pace.
Yeah, there were things that just annoyed me, and a lot of maybe it's communication among the characters that you're just like, oh my gosh, if you just talk to this person, or I don't know. There were things that bothered me, so I didn't hate it, but it definitely was like, there were things in it that annoyed me while watching.
I
Yeah.
still think I liked Olympus Has Fallen more than I enjoyed White House Down, though. I had to choose between the two. But I should check out London Has Fallen. Number 4 for him, Lara Croft Tomb Raider, The Cradle of Life
Oh,
from
yeah.
Paramount, 21.7 back in 2003.
Forgot he was in that.
I totally
forgot he
forgot
was
about
in
that.
That sort of explains how I feel about the movie, maybe.
Oh, I liked it.
Is he like a sidekick to her?
He's the protag. He's a protag antag, I believe.
Got it. All right. Number 3, The Ugly Truth from Sony. That's the one with Katherine Heigl, right?
Yes, it is.
Oh, gosh. Of course, Amy
I
knows
know
that
about it.
one.
I
Yes.
saw it. I didn't like her that much.
Wait, is that the one where they're
Yeah.
arresting each other?
No, that's one with their
No.
news. She's a
Wait, were they in 2 movies with one another?
Me.
Oh.
Let's
'Cause
see.
he was also one with Jennifer Aniston, where he was like the bounty hunter or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
of.
Yeah, that's the other one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, Ugly Truth was the ad where like he's holding a heart over his crotch and she's holding a heart like up here, and like that was the.
Oh,
Yeah, the
right.
black and the
Image,
white.
yeah.
Yeah.
I like him, but I don't know. I just didn't buy their chemistry together.
I liked it at
Okay,
the
I was like
time.
Miss Romantic
At the
I
Comedy.
liked it at the
Okay,
time.
yeah, there we go.
There's this one hot air balloon scene, and I honestly do not remember much else from that movie, but I remember liking that scene.
Okay.
Hard
And
balloons are cool.
yeah.
I remember the
Alright.
tree and someone being naked. Is that a
Oh,
thing? Like she falls out of the tree or something. Or
Oh,
she's
okay, I don't remember
She's
that.
like spying on someone in the
Oh,
tree.
Anthony.
I remember spying, and I remember a tree, and I remember lack of
Don't
clothing.
remember.
Okay.
But I do love movies like there's another one, I can't remember, where they talk about people working in the industry, so like film or like TV, just because we get an inside.
Well,
look
there's
on
the
that.
Greg Kinnear, Ashley Judd one.
Which one?
Uh, Yeah, where she plays a producer on one of the shows or whatever.
Yes.
And
Yes.
he's, yep. So there you go.
Also, if you like that kind of stuff, The Player, I think, is
The
a pretty
Player.
good one with Tim Robbins, I believe, who was in Jacob's Ladder.
Yeah.
He plays like a producer, I believe. Yeah, it's really good.
Broadcast news.
Morning Glory. Sorry, guys.
There you
That's another one.
Morning glory.
Morning Glory.
Number 2 for Gerard Butler was Olympus Has Fallen back in
We're all
2013.
speaking of which.
And there you go. And number 1, of course, probably no surprise. If you love Gerard Butler, I think the first movie that comes into your mind is 300.
Have you guys seen the little clip where it's a little penguin and it kicks another penguin and it's the "We Are Sparta" moment? Have you seen? No.
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 If you, man, so it's like go on YouTube, guys, and be like penguins, like this is Sparta, and it's like literally a 3-second clip, and it's like the high pitched voice, "This is Sparta," and he kicks the other. It's one of those you can play on loop, and it's just so funny. Anyway.
Now, Amy mentioned The Ugly Truth. We're talking about that for a second. But she also, during our little power down, she decided to share a little something with us that she'd done her due diligence as a box office breakdown panelist, that she lost a bet and she decided to honor her commitment, and she saw Home again? Again? Question
Oh,
mark?
only for the first time.
Home again, home again.
And?
Jiggity jig.
I really love Reese Witherspoon. We've talked about this.
Let's preface this with what you
Yes.
like.
Yes. It just felt a little awkward the entire time. It just didn't totally make sense. My issues with the film were solely on plot, really, and character development, and some acting, like some casting.
So most of the movie.
So besides that, yeah, I mean, well, in some parts where they put in the like cheesy rom-com music, where you're like, okay, I've seen plenty of these. I know what you're trying to do. I appreciate it, but it's not done correctly. When you feel it, and it's just like, oh my gosh, stop, then you know it's too much. But yeah, I did like the fact that they touch on Reese Witherspoon's dad was like this huge filmmaker. So it's what I was talking about, that I love those kinds of movies because it's like, yay. Besides that, the 3 main guys were all right. I liked Nat Wolff, who plays Teddy, more, and John Rudinsky, who plays George, more so than the main guy named Harry, who's played by Pico Alexander. So I mean, I just felt like the casting was a little. And besides that, I mean, at the end, it's cool. It's just a happy little family, but
Is it her having to choose between 2 guys?
No, not really. Like, they show you little parts of that where George, one of the 3 guys, wants to really be with her, but Harry and her are the only ones that are really doing anything about it with, like, each other. And so you're like, does George even have a chance? Because they show you shots of him like, I love you. But then you're wondering, are they going to do anything with this? Because you're secretly rooting for George, not so much Harry. I got very invested, as you can see, but just a little bit. And I mean, it looked pretty. Reese Witherspoon did well. And I don't know, just the idea is a little funky. You're like, this is what we're going to do? Okay. And you just kind of learn to roll with it. But if you can see it for free, sure, watch it.
Wow.
Hey.
Yeah, put that on the poster, folks.
If you can see it for free, I guess it's worth your time.
Yeah.
They do promote going to the library. That's another place you guys can go get movies for free.
True.
Please
So-
sponsor us, library.
And then, well, actually,
Like-
one teeny tiny comment. 300 is one of the few cases where I actually almost like the movie better than the graphic novel, because the graphic novel is very, very thin and not a lot to it, and the whole side character plot line with his wife is not in the book at all. But I do really like the graphic novel, but this is an instance where I actually was like, cool, they added more and it made sense and I enjoyed it.
Very true. I agree with that. I never saw the sequel, which is, I think, is it a prequel? No, it's a sequel. Yeah, it happens after that.
600?
Yeah,
There was a sequel?
there's a sequel to 300. There is. Yeah. You're welcome, guys.
Oh boy.
Go see that. Not by Zack Snyder, but somebody else. But I did not see that movie either. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, of course, we've got our box office breakdown bet coming shortly. But before that, we've got to do our next week's top 5. We've got 2 entering the fray, 12 strong, on 2,900 screens from Warner Brothers, and Den of Thieves from STX Entertainment on 2,400 screens. Do we see either of them knocking off Jumanji for number 1?
Probably
No.
Jumanji at 27.
I just want to say thank you, Sarah Brock, for advice. You said if you think about it, if you think about Home Again, like it's a 1940s movie, it makes perfect sense.
Did it make more sense now? Now you're thinking
A little
about it?
bit, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ken Jack already is jumping on it. It says Jumanji for number 1, 12 Strong for number 2, The Post for 3, 4 The Commuter, and 5 Greatest Showman. So you're bumping Insidious out. Okay.
Well, Greatest Showman actually just set a record for the longest legs of a wide release movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what I read somewhere. But it only had a 14% drop this week. So I can see that it would stay at number 5.
Now, comparable, like say, Lone Survivor came out in 2013 with Mark Wahlberg. It was kind of very similar, kind of true life story, something that happened over there in the Iraq War. That made, when it went wide in its second week, $38 million. And that opened up in January as well.
Yeah. I think 12 Strong can take number 1. I think a lot of people are discounting
Chris Hemsworth?
Chris Hemsworth and Middle America. I feel like that's a movie that a lot of people in the Midwest, maybe in the South, would probably rush out to go see.
I'm quick run down the road. Excuse me, down the row. Learn my words. I'm gonna learn my words this week. Chris
And more and
Hemsworth.
more.
We talked about Gerard Butler being a box office draw for you personally. Chris Hemsworth, more of a draw, less of a draw,
not really.
just the same.
Same-ish. The only thing I have with that movie is I'm like, I don't want to watch the animals get hurt because it's all about them and the horses, and I was like, oh, no, I can't. It'd be too traumatic.
I say more. Yeah,
Okay.
More?
more.
I'd say less.
Really interesting.
I could do without him.
Wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know if I've seen anything outside of Thor that's like maybe say, well, he was fun in Ghostbusters, but in terms of a leading role, something that's really
What
like.
about Rush? I
Uh,
didn't see it, but
yeah, that was fine. It was fine. It was, and I never saw the one that he did with Ridley Scott, the cyber tech
Right.
Oh,
one
yeah, that
from like
one.
a few years back.
Yeah.
That it was dumped in January does not speak well for that movie.
All right.
All right, so any disagreements against what were some of the potential order being bandied around?
Yeah, I'll put 12 Strong at number 1, with Jumanji at 2, I'm going to say. And then throw, geez, I don't even know if Den of Thieves will be number 3.
What do you think about?
it's
Probably The
2,400.
Post, and then Den of Thieves, and then Showman.
Not The Commuter.
No, I think Showman's going to hang on a bit more.
I'm going to second yours. I think that's good thoughts.
I don't know about does anybody really care about Den of Thieves? I mean, every time I see the trailer, it's
Actually,
never.
I saw a new trailer for it today when I was at the movies, and I liked it better. But I know what you're saying. The first trailer I saw, I was like, who's going to care about this movie?
Yeah.
But the second trailer I saw was a lot better.
Oh, all right. Enough to make you want to go like, yeah, I'll see this
Well,
in the theater.
it showed that that one of the guys from the bank robbers, one of their group, sort of has a rapport with Gerard Butler's character, the dirty cop or whatever it is, and they're sort of on the phone with one another. He's like, they're like sort of like talking with one another as he's holding up someplace. It's like, you're never gonna make it out of here alive. He's like, oh well, I'm not leaving in handcuffs. He's like, I didn't bring handcuffs. I'm like, okay, that's sort of bad dialogue, but I like how they have a rapport with one another, and so there's this little sort of, I don't know, I'm kind of interested to see that now.
All right.
Hostiles is coming out too. Yeah, Stardrew's been bringing that up. I'm like, that one looks interesting. I'm mixed. Have you guys seen the trailer for that?
That Western with Christian
Yes.
Bale, they say it's the best since The Searchers. The best
Interesting.
Western since that, I think it was said. Looks okay. Modern Westerns never
if I
do
agree
it
with
for
that.
me.
They're
yeah.
hard, yeah.
Yeah, like 310 was okay. True Grit was okay.
310.
But-
There's Seraphim Falls. I think.
Yeah.
There's one that's a Western one, right? Am I thinking of a different name? Hold on, I'm gonna look it up.
All right, so we're getting
But
ready to
while we
wrap
get
up,
our
folks. I know
things-
Anthony was kind enough to jump in the chat to say, placing your bets for the film that we're going to bet on. We'll give you guys a few more seconds here. Otherwise, we will just pick one to place the bet.
Sarah Brock, my favorite Western ever is probably a toss-up between Shane and The Searchers.
And then yes, it was.
Oh, all right. Ken Jack, 3-2, 12 strong, 1.
Oh, God.
Look at that. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, let's do 12 strong. Chris Hemsworth, many other people in there as well. William
we were saying
Forsythe.
number
Michael Pena?
Michael Pena's in there.
Yeah.
Michael Shannon's in there.
Wow, really?
Yeah, we got a double the Michaels.
I'm surprised by
I'm
that.
excited for, you just reminded me that Michael Shannon and Michael B. Jordan are going to be in Fahrenheit 451 with one another. And that looks dope.
On,
I
on
love
HBO,
Michael B.
right?
Jordan.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm down for that too.
I'm down. I'm there for it.
All
Quick
right.
tangent, sorry.
No. It's a great tangent, Neil. As all your tangents are. 2,900 screens from Warner Brothers. What do we think it's going to do?
2,900. That's a good number of screens. I don't know.
Throwing out the Lone Survivor number again, it did 38 million when it went wide in the second week. Just about the same number of theaters.
I really just don't like the subtitle. The declassified true story of the horse soldiers. I'm sort of like,
Just
are they
refer to-
centaurs?
Refer to it only as that. That's your. That's
The
your
declassified true story of the horse soldiers.
Oh.
I have no idea.
Oh no.
All right. I got a number.
I don't
We'll see how
even
that.
know.
I have a number. I don't know if it's going to be good.
All right. Everybody locked in.
Locked and loaded.
All right. As the winners, we'll go in alphabetical order.
I'll do it.
All right.
No, I can do it, yeah.
Oh, Neil.
I put down 22.
Oh,
interesting.
okay. 24.
Oh, not bad.
25.
Oh, dang it. I
Wow.
went
Yes.
28.
Whoa, I'm on the low end. Man, I
Well,
thought
he
I was
went
going
really
too
high.
high.
Yeah, and you went the lowest, right?
Yeah, 22
We're in
to
the
20.
middle.
That's right.
Oh, I don't care about you being safe. I'm just saying
I'm
I'm safe.
safe, so I'm
All
happy.
right, cool.
All right. Good times.
28 million.
Yeah. All right. I can go see this movie.
It's probably going to make closer to 28 than 22.
Please, everybody, go see this movie. I beg you. I beg of you.
You know.
That's right. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for this episode of the Box Office Breakdown. But as always, folks, like us on Facebook, give us those 5 stars on iTunes, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and throw those thumbs up and more and more and more and more and more. And if you're watching after the show, after it's streamed live, feel free to comment. Where, Carrie?
Down below.
And what's a question you'd love for them to answer down in those comments?
Well, with 12 Strong coming out, we'll go with what is your favorite war movie of any time period?
All right.
Ooh, that's a good one.
And of course, folks, thanks for hopping in the chat. You make the show so much more fun to
Yes,
do. We
thank
appreciate
you.
all your feedback
Yay.
as always. And if you'd like to continue the conversation with any of us, but probably Neil mostly, after the show's off the air, Neil, where can they find you?
Thanks for joining us. I'm Neil. You can find me at places where people are found at the Neil Plumley, which is TheNeilPlumley. If you have trouble with that, just rewind.
That's cool. Well, thank you guys for watching. I'm Amy Cassandra Martinez. And like I said at the beginning of the show, you can find me on all social media at Amy Cassandra MTZ. I will not be here next week, but follow me on Instagram and Twitter as well, so you can get a behind-the-scenes look. I mean, as much as I can possibly show you of the SAG Awards.
Ooh.
Pleasant.
I'll be like watching you from Sundance. Yes, my name is Kari Lane. You can find me online at Kari D Lane, KARIDLANE. And yes, follow me on Twitter and Instagram because I'll be tweeting and posting as much as I can from Sundance.
And folks, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at HappyGoJackie. I'll be tweeting and Instagramming as much as I can during the taping of the show. Just various photos of Neil.
Yeah.
There you go. Just real-time updates of what Neil's doing during this.
It'll be fantastic.
Neil and I are here
Be great.
because we love you. We love all of you
Yay.
so much. Ladies and gentlemen, see you next week. Go see some movies.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Popcorn Talk Network or its owners or principals.